When we were first instructed back in January to choose a visual artist, I was excited. I knew exactly who I wanted to do my speech on. Today, there are many famous artists who we hear about: Leonardo da Vinci, Pablo Picasso, Michelangelo, and Vincent van Gogh, just to name a few. If you ask any art historian who are the greatest visual artists of all times, you will be provided a multitude of different names. Based on opinions of many others, a professional athlete who traded in his football pads for a paintbrush was one of the greatest neo-mannerist visual artists of all time of the 21st century. His name is Ernie Barnes. Hi, my name is Judy Ford. Let's see how Ernie Barnes became the first American professional athlete to become a well-renowned artist. First, I would discuss Ernie Barnes' early life, then I would discuss his football career, and finally I would discuss his artistic career. Let's start with his early life, which can be divided between his childhood and teenage years. His father, Ernest Eugene Barnes, his mother, Fannie Mae. He was born on July 15, 1938 in Durham, North Carolina during segregation. He had two brothers named James and Benjamin. His mother, Fannie Mae, was the housekeeper of a leading attorney named Frank Fuller. She initiated his exposure to art by taking Ernie to work with her. Mr. Fuller encouraged him to pursue his art books and told him about the various art schools, his favorite painters, and the museums he visited. His mother encouraged him and his brothers to draw from their imagination instead of coloring books. He was intrigued and captivated by master artists when he entered first grade. He was familiar with the masterpieces of Delacroix, Rubens, and Michelangelo. He could appreciate and decode many of the masterpieces in the museums. However, he was not permitted in them. Now let's talk about his teenage years. According to NCpedia, Barnes described himself as overweight and non-athletic child who was bullied by other children. He carried around a sketchbook in elementary school to escape the bullying of his peers. According to Ernie Barnes' official website, during recess and lunch, he would hide in the bathrooms with his pen and paper. These two were the prized possessions, were his only friends during this time in his life. His masonry teacher, Mr. Tucker, saw his sketchbooks and took interest in him and encouraged him to join the weightlifting program, which he did, transferring his body and his attitude through exercise and discipline. He became captain of the football team and the state champion in the shot put. Upon graduating in 1956 from Hillside High School, he was awarded 26 athletic scholarships. As you can see in his early childhood throughout his teenage years, he was always passionate about art. Now let's see how football helped his art career. He attended North Carolina College where he majored in art. He played the football position of tackle at NCC. He was selected for the all-conference team. According to the American Sports Art Museum, at 21 years old, he was selected in the 10th round of the NFL draft as an offensive lineman. He played for several major teams: the New York Titans, the San Diego Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. He continued painting, sketching fellow players. He was often caught on the sideline sketching during games. After 5 seasons, he retired at the age of 28, devoting himself to art. As you can see, he was successful as a football player, but Ernie never gave up on his dream of becoming an artist. Let's discuss his artistic career. According to Ernie Barnes' official website, Ernie credits his Professor Ed Williams for laying the foundation for his development as an artist. Wilson told Ernie to paint from his own life experiences. He made me conscious of the fact the artist who is useful in America is one who studies his own life and records it through the medium of art and customs his own experiences. Wilson told me to pay attention to what my body felt like in movement. Within that elongation, there's a feeling on an attitude and expression. His subjects are characterized by elongated figures with lean, strong muscles that insinuate his subjects in motion. Another distinct feature is his closed eyes of his subject. In his artwork, according to an article by Victoria Valentine, I tend to paint most everyone with their eyes closed, because I feel that we are blind to one another's humanity. So if we could see the gifts, strengths, and potentials within every human being, then our eyes would be open. Ernie Barnes. At age 18, on a college field trip to the desegregated North Carolina Museum, Barnes inquired, "Where could I find paintings by the Negro artists?" The tour guide responded, "Your people don't express themselves that way." 23 years later, in 1979, Ernie returned to the same museum for a solo exposition. Ernie's most successful part of his career was the 70s. He created a painting, The Sugar Shack. It gained international exposure. It was used on the Good Time TV series and the Marvin Gaye album cover. Other notable arts and expositions was his Beauty in the Ghetto. This was a 35 painting that toured major American cities. During the 1992, the LA riots, the mayor used Ernie's painting Broke Through Limits as an inspirational billboard. Many rappers, actors commissioned Ernie to create paintings for them. Ernie was also an actor and an author. Ernie died on April 27, 2009 at the age of 70 from myeloid leukemia. He was cremated and his ashes were scattered near his family home and also in California near a beach. These were his two favorite locations. In conclusion, early on in his childhood, Ernie had a passion for art and he expressed his passion through his entire life. Today I discuss the legacy of Ernie Barnes, how visual and emotional experiences on the football field and his personal life were expressed on canvas. His legacy of his dual existence as both a sensitive artist and as a tough athlete was expressive in his work on the